All right, let's talk about Google Ads. If you're using them, the goal seems pretty simple, right? You want to turn those ad dollars into actual customers. But we all know it's rarely that easy. So today, we're not going to talk about shortcuts. We're going to talk about building a system, a real system, to make sure your budget is actually working for you.
I mean, on the surface, this makes perfect sense. More clicks should equal more customers. It's kind of the whole reason you're spending the money in the first place. But what if I told you that simple, logical-sounding equation is actually fundamentally flawed?
Because yeah, in the real world, it's often dead wrong. Believing that is what fuels this incredibly common budget-draining mistake that, honestly, countless businesses make every single day, and they usually don't even know they're doing it. So here's our game plan to fix it. First, we're going to expose that billion-dollar mistake. Then, we'll break down the huge difference between search and display. After that, we'll look at the power of remarketing, your second chance really. And we'll explore how to automate and scale up with Performance Max. And finally, we'll put it all together into one cohesive system.
Okay, so what is this giant mistake? I call it the select all trap. You know what I'm talking about. You're setting up a new campaign, and it's just so tempting to check every single box, right? You think, hey, more reach has to mean more customers. But the problem is, you end up treating every user out there as if they're exactly the same. And that is a very, very costly error.
And to really get why that's such a problem, we need to be clear on one key term, the Google Ads network. It sounds technical, but it's simple. It's just all the different places your ad can possibly show up. We're talking search results, news websites, inside a mobile app, or even right before a YouTube video. And that brings us to the most crucial point of all, user intent. Just think about it for a second. The mindset of someone frantically typing "emergency plumber near me" into Google is worlds apart from someone just casually scrolling through a blog post. That difference in their mindset, their intent, well, that's everything in advertising. Which leads us perfectly to the two giants of Google Ads, the search network and the display network. They might seem kind of similar, but they do two fundamentally different jobs. One is about capturing demand that's already out there, and the other is about creating new demand from scratch. This really lays it all out. The search network is completely reactive. It's responding to someone who is already looking for what you have. The display network, on the other hand, is proactive. It's trying to create that first little spark of interest in someone who might not even know you exist yet.
So let's look closer at search. You can't deny its strengths, right? You're getting in front of people with incredibly high purchase intent, which makes it super easy to measure your return on investment. The major downside? Well, you can't create demand out of thin air. You're totally limited by how many people are actually searching, and those clicks, they can get pretty pricey.
Now, compare that to the display network. Just take a second and look at this number, 90%. That's the slice of all internet users across the entire globe that Google says the display network can reach. The scale is just mind-boggling. So with that unbelievable reach, you get some obvious perks, like lower cost per click and the ability to tell a story with images and video. The trade-off, of course, is that user intent is way, way lower, so you're not going to see as many direct sales. That's why its real superpower is in building brand awareness and, most importantly, in a tactic called remarketing.
And that brings us to remarketing. Think about it. We live in a world where nobody buys the first thing they see. They shop around, they compare, they get distracted. Getting a second chance to make your case isn't just nice, it's a superpower. And that's exactly what remarketing does.
The process is actually pretty straightforward, but it's so powerful. So a potential customer lands on your website, they look around, and then they leave. Later, when they're browsing the web, maybe reading the news or checking sports scores, boom, your visual ad shows up. It's this gentle, persistent reminder that keeps your brand top of mind and just invites them to come back.
And this is absolutely essential in today's crowded markets. The way people buy things now is messy. It's not a straight line. They research, they compare, they forget, they come back. Remarketing makes sure you stay in that conversation right up until the very moment they are finally ready to pull the trigger.
Okay, so you're capturing intent with search campaigns, and you're staying visible with display and remarketing. So how do you scale? Well, you do it by leveraging automation with something called Performance Max, or PMax. Think of it as Google's all-in-one campaign designed for growth.
What makes PMax so different is that it gets you access to all of Google's inventory from just one campaign. You feed it your goals, some text, some images and videos, and Google's AI takes over from there, finding customers for you across search, maps, YouTube, Gmail, you name it.
Now, the big advantage here is the powerful automation. It can find opportunities to convert that you'd probably never find on your own. But there's a trade-off, and it's a big one: control. It's much more of a black box, so you get less insight into where your ads are showing. And let me be clear about this, it is only as smart as the data you give it. Accurate conversion tracking isn't a suggestion, it's a requirement.
All right, let's put all of these pieces together. It's time to stop thinking about running separate campaigns and start thinking about building one cohesive, powerful advertising system that actually drives real, sustainable growth.
This right here, this is the blueprint. It's a layered strategy. You start with a solid foundation of search campaigns to catch all that high-intent, low-hanging fruit. Next, you add a visibility layer, using display for brand awareness and, of course, for remarketing. And finally, once that engine is humming along, you hit the accelerator and scale with Performance Max.
And here it is, the key takeaway from all of this. Please, stop thinking of these as separate tools you can pick and choose from. Search, display, and Performance Max are all deeply interconnected parts of one single ecosystem. When you finally use them together the right way, Google Ads stops being this confusing expense and starts being what it's supposed to be: a reliable, scalable engine for your business's growth.
So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Take a really honest look at your ad account. Are your campaigns just running? Are they just chasing clicks on autopilot? Or are they strategically building something? A layered system that's actually designed for sustainable growth? Because that difference, that's everything.